In this presentation, we will discuss different types of teaching platforms that can help you to make money online by putting your courses online. We discussed in a prior presentation how we can use instructional videos to help us out in our overall type of business plan. The overall type of business plan could be we could grow to be starting to use and make instructional videos to help us out with our work. So if we work something as a contractor or if we work as an employee, then we could use instructional videos to help us out and support the work that we do as a contractor or employee. As we gain traffic through the YouTube channel from the instructional videos, we may direct them then to the website, which could help us with consulting work as well and drive traffic to the consulting work, the website having information that could be given for consulting work. Now, note that you could also say, okay, well, once I start getting these instructional videos together, if I get a lot of questions and the questions are in the same kind of area, once you get enough questions where you have basically 2 to 5 hours of content that's consistent content, and you can say, oh, this all fits together in a big puzzle picture that people are basically asking me about, well, then you can say, well, I can put this together in a coherent way into, in essence, a course. So then you can think about, well, how can I make this into a course that I can then possibly publish? Once you have a course, then you can think about publishing that, and the main one would be Udemy. You could say, okay, now I have a course platform, rather than me just trying to make money through a little bit of extra money on YouTube from some AdSense revenue and having them drive to my website. I might say, hey, maybe I put this all together in a coherent way, add some more supplemental information, and then package it in a course and put that on a course platform such as a Udemy, and maybe you can get some revenue in that format as well. So once that's the case, once you're saying, okay, a course could supplement my revenue as well, then of course you can also put the link to that course on your website and say, hey, look, we put this all together in a condensed way. We've added more resources. Here's a link to the course, and that's another way that you can basically make revenue from your business model. Now, Udemy is just one of the platforms. It's the biggest kind of like free platform, but there's a lot of different other platforms. So once you go and start thinking, okay, what if I make my own course? Then the question is, well, where am I going to put the course? I'm going to give a couple different kind of categorizations of where you can put the course, because there's a ton of places where you could start to think about where to put the course. So the biggest basically free platform that you could just go on it and put your course on there is going to be Udemy. So Udemy is the best place to kind of get started, because it has its own course building platform. You can basically upload the information to Udemy in a similar way as you would for like a YouTube. It's just that they'll be all linked together within a course, and you can also add more materials rather than just instructional videos. So you can give more on the course than you would say on YouTube, with the use of other resources rather than just the instructional videos. You can have guides with it. Now note, this kind of thing can actually be really helpful even if you're not making money from Udemy, because, I mean, if you have like, say, a free course that's formatted in this way, and people are asking you questions that are a bit more complex and you want more than just instructional videos, you want an instructional video aligned with some kind of documentation, possibly with links on it or whatnot to help you out for more reference, then you can actually build the course and give it to someone internally, like a coworker or something like that, for free, and it would be housed here. So it's a really... What Udemy has is a teaching platform. They put together a curriculum development platform on this Udemy platform, and you could use it, of course, to sell courses to third parties. That's what it's there for. But if you used to be able to make a course for free, I think there's going to be a time limit, like if it's under a certain amount of hours. So Udemy's regulations are changing, but you also have coupons and whatnot. So it's really nice, in other words, to have a spot where you can house information, that you can give more information than just like a one-off instructional video, and a teaching platform is the skill to do that. So Udemy is a type of platform that's a discount platform. So what they do is you put your courses there, and then they market it. They have a huge marketing system, and then they discount the courses typically, so people purchase them for far less than the stated price, and that's just basically the general rules on Udemy. Now, what you want to do here is when you start to build courses, again, you probably want to put them on Udemy, and if they don't sell, they don't sell. No big deal. You put the courses up for your own use, and then you put them on Udemy. You just house them. It took the time to put them up there, and then if they're useful to you, even if they're not selling in your business, then that's fine. If they're driving traffic to your website for your consulting, then that's fine. It fits in perfectly. So notice that there's a ton of Udemy is the biggest one that's like a free type of software that you could just go in there. You could just start an account. You don't need any verification application. You can basically go in there and for the most part, just, with little verification, start an account. There's some others like that. Skillshare is another one where you usually get at least in my experience, would get far less. It's more difficult for me, at least in my industry, to make anywhere near as much money on Skillshare as with Udemy, but the same kind of process is there that, you go into their website, you follow their guidelines, and as long as you do that, there's not a huge, review process. You're pretty much ready to set up and go on Skillshare. Now, Skillshare is usually designed for kind of smaller courses that are driven towards specific type of tasks. So a task-related course or a specific project-related course, whereas Udemy, if you want to make a course on philosophy and start talking about Plato and what he thought or something like that, that would be fine up here. Down here, it seems like that wouldn't be so good because there's no point. You're not actually making something, right? So here I think it's more of a crafts type of oriented or making something, or if you're doing a math project, then you should have a math project at the end of the day that someone basically has in their hand and have completed the problem for it or something like that. But these are the two that are really the easiest to kind of get approval and start running on. Now, then there's a ton of other ones that you can look into, like I've worked with before, Stack Skills, which is another one where it's not, you have to talk to them in the approval process. You can't just jump on there in the same day and start making courses, but you can contact them, and once they give approval, you can make courses there. There's a Skill Success I've worked with them, and you could do the same thing there. And some of these, I think Skill Success is really nice too, because they actually want to upload their own material. Here, Udemy and Skillshare, you have to upload the material. In some places, they actually say, hey, just put your information into a Dropbox and we'll create the course for you. So you're not actually having to create the course over again, which can save a lot of time. And so that could be really, really useful. And then, of course, there's Allison, there's a lot of other ones, and there's some that are going to be specific to a specific skill. So there's a whole lot of other areas for course creation that are specific to niches. Like this is a CPA place. This is for CPE hours. If you're like me, I'm an accountant, there's CPE hour courses that you could try to get on CPE hour type of platforms specific to specific industries like tax or whatever the specific industry is. There's also areas that are going to have a more strict like application process, like a Lynda. There's one called Lynda that I used to get work from a lot, or I used to use for technical skills. It helped me out. That's where I got a course that helped me out with my WordPress site. And that one, you got to go through an application process, and they have a more of a different kind of process to go through to approve the people. It's not as easy to just get up and running with, but you can go through the approval process for them as well. Then you also have things like Audible and Amazon. So just note, if you're making a course, then you might think, well, I can write a book on the course, right? And you can publish a book basically for free. And I've done this before. I'm not making, to me, to make money on a book, not the easiest thing, but it's pretty neat that you could publish a book, and on Amazon, not without too much difficulty. I've made more money on the Audible, and so then once you have that, you can basically take your information and make an Audible book out of it, which is similar to kind of a course, but it's just an Audible type of course. So if you have this type of content where you're talking a lot, then instead of showing things, then you may have a system where you could say, hey, that easily converts into a book and then possibly into Audible. And Audible seems to be, fairly popular these days. Now, then you can also say, well, these things are actually hosted. How do you get paid by these things? Well, they're going to typically take a cut, right? Udemy will typically take a cut. It depends on a bunch of different circumstances on, what that cut will be and how they marketed the course and whatnot. But you're going to get you're going to have to split between the platform. The platform is going to be the one that's going to be driving the traffic. They're doing a lot of the marketing to drive the traffic, so they're going to get a cut for the driving of the traffic. Now, then you could say, well, what if I did my own course platform? There's two ways you could do it. You could say, I'm going to get a hosting platform that is designed for courses, which is what I recommend. That's what I do. I use Thinkific here. Or you could say, I'm going to do self-hosting and make my own website. And basically you could use like a WordPress plugin to do that. That one's, a little bit more time consuming. If you're good at WordPress, that would be good. If not, then I would say that you'd probably want to do these two. So the standard progression that people would have is if they start putting something together that they think they can make a course with, try out Udemy because it has a really good LMS system, like a learning management system type that you can put the course into Udemy, get used to how a learning management system works. And if it makes money, it makes money. If it doesn't make money, fine, it doesn't make money. If it starts to make money, then you're thinking, well, now maybe if I can draw traffic to another website, maybe it would be worthwhile to do that. Same principle applies here. You're not trying to steal the traffic from Udemy and say in the comments of Udemy, hey, come over to my website, because that's against the policy. It's the same kind of thing we talked about with Upwork or something like that. What you do instead is then say your YouTube channels that is now not going to be pointing to Udemy. Udemy does their own marketing. You don't really need to market for Udemy if you're going to do your own thing. Then you're going to say, I'm going to move away from my channel pointing to my Udemy courses and my website pointing to my Udemy courses, right? If you look at your system up here, you can think of your website pointing to Udemy as one of your resources. And then you're saying, well, maybe I'll self-host because Udemy is doing fine on their own advertising. They don't need me advertising. I'm not really helping them. The fraction of what I'm earning from my advertising versus what they're advertising is minimal. They're doing fine, on their own. What I should do with my advertising is possibly point it to either consulting or my own courses, right? Because then Udemy can do what they do, and that's great. And then whatever traffic I can run, why don't I take that to my own course that's on my website, where then if you drive the traffic there, now you're doing the job that you're principally hiring Udemy for, therefore, and you would get all the money, and that would be a fair way to do it, right? So because now you're not stealing the traffic from Udemy, you're running something parallel to Udemy. And Udemy typically has, as many of these platforms do, policies that say it's not like you put the content on Udemy so you cannot put it somewhere else. They typically say you can put the content basically, on multiple different platforms is the general rule. You want to go through it, but that's going to be the general rule. And especially if it's your own platform, what you cannot do is go on their platform and steal the people directly from it by saying, hey, here's my other platform, go over there. I'd rather have you over there than here. That's against the rules, but you can run your platform basically parallel to these platforms and then drive your own traffic to your platform. Now, if you've ever taken a course online or something like that, you're probably familiar with the user side of something like a Udemy, a learning management platform type of system. So once you get used to making the course on this side, then if you use something like a Thinkific or Teachable, these are going to be something like similar to a WordPress site in that, but they do the hosting for you. But they've also, made it standardized, so they're basically a learning management system. Their system is set up to do courses, not only to do courses, but also to do the marketing of the courses. So you could set up your PayPal really easily through the Thinkific course, the process for, the shopping cart and then the buying the courses and all that is done really easily because that's what these do. That's what they're focused in on. So it costs more because you got to basically pay them for that service to basically host your courses, which you're putting on their server, and their server's pretty fast. So now you're not dealing with that, the same kind of issue with different shared hosting servers down on, if you use WordPress, could run slow. Thinkific and Teachable should have bigger servers and run pretty quickly. At least I trust them a lot more than, my WordPress site and whatnot. So that one, it'll run more quickly typically up here, and you don't have to worry about that. But obviously you have to pay for basically the rent of using that and for their updating of the system for it. But then of course the sales that you make, you get all the sales. So you pay for whatever it is costs to use their system, but you're not paying a percentage of the revenue you're getting as you do over here on these types of courses. So, and then the last option here is you could just do it all yourself. And that would be like with a WordPress site. There's plugins that help you do it yourself. The reason I don't recommend this for someone like me is because, it's possible you get into things like, how big is my website? Is the hosting good? Is the speed of the website fast enough? What can I do to make the speed of the website faster? If you really like dealing with that kind of stuff, then you could do it down here. But I'm not an expert on that. I just want to make the courses and make the input of the courses, the uploading, as easy as possible. I know how to deal with a learning management system. I've dealt with Udemy. I've dealt with courses elsewhere. I can upload the course. What I don't want to deal with is always optimizing my WordPress site and whatnot. I would like Thinkific and Teachable to do that, which they do if you set this up. So once you get to that point, then in your system here, now you're saying, okay, I'm going to have my website now point to my other teaching platform, right? My website points to my courses on the platform as opposed to Udemy. Udemy then could still make you money. They do their own marketing as well as whoever else you're working with in terms of third-party platforms. They do what they do well, and that's how you can think about setting this up.